I'm going to show how to add a modulation to the coordinate system in Affinity Photo's Procedural Texture Filter. So I've got an image. I've got it set up as 1024 by 1024. I've got a gradient map applied, and this is the filter. And in this case, I can turn off these modulation sources. So I could start with no modulation, or I could add sort of a sine wave modulation, and then I can change the frequency of that to different frequencies. And let's say I'll go up to a little higher like this, or a higher frequency like that. I could turn that off and then go to add a noise based frequency, so it's just sort of random modulation, or I could add perlin noise and do perlin noise modulation, and then I have my S factor that I could add to that. And you can see how the coordinate ranges are becoming distorted as you do that. So that's what I'm interested in doing, and so I'm going to show you how to do that. I've shown modulations before, but I guess not with everything set up as a shader like this. All right, so I'm going to take out everything except for my V0, which is just a vector 2 of xy times a divided by w. I'm going to add in a V1, which is the fraction of that. So it'll be fraction of V0 minus 0.5, and then let's look at that V. So there's that V. I've got the center offset here to the middle of the image, and I've got my red and green just following the x coordinates along. Okay. Now the place where you want to modulate this, I'm going to set up some modulation sources in here, and they're going to use the V0. So the first one I'm going to do is a sine modulation. I'm going to take that, and just going to plug that one in. So I've got it on my notepad over here. So I'm going to take oschsin. I'm going to use the harmonic version of this, of sine, and then add a frequency control to it. And then I'm multiplying the V0 coordinates times the frequency control, and then add an intensity parameter for that, my I1. I'll just write in here sine modulation, the sinusoidal modulation. And then where I want to add this in is inside the fraction here. So I will add in a plus M1. Let's see how that goes. Okay. So I've added that in. I've got the intensity down to 0. And now I can start tweaking this. If I bring up more of these, you can see that it's distorting this more and more with that sine modulation. I could increase the frequency, and it's distorting the coordinate mesh. So if I had a shape in here, it would get distorted as well. But what I was trying to do is to, I've done that before where the edges stay square, but the shape inside gets modulated. But this time I'm trying to modulate the whole sort of space. Okay, so there's that one. Yeah, you could have higher frequency and bring this up to more intensity. All right, next one is just going to be noise, and in this case I'm using the directional noise, DIR. So let me bring that one in. I've got it saved. I've got the code saved over here in my other notepad. And that one just looks like that, M2. So now let me see what happens when I add M2 to this. Okay, good. And that one is going to be just noise, and there's no parameters on that one. I guess I could have a scaling factor for that. Anyway, so that just brings in noise like that. Now I could have put in a, let me add a scaling factor for that one. I'll just leave it as B, and I'll set it up to 1. And I can put that in on either the coordinates, or I could put it in up here in front so it would become more intense. So I want to see what happens when I scale up the coordinates by B like that. And so there's 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can add more and more noise distortion to those coordinates. Okay, and then the last one, let me just put in noise scale for this so I remember what it is. I'm going to take this down, and the last one I'm going to add in is a perlin noise source. And I'm going to use the harmonic version of that, so it sort of goes in both directions. Harmonic, remember, is both positive and negative. The function goes in both from -1 to 1, although with perlin you get a little more than just -1 to 1. But let's say V0OS, yeah. So I have these additional parameters with that. I'll just label this one perlin. This is octaves, and this is the smoothness factor. Let's call it smooth. Okay, and I set that up as an M3 variable, so now I can add that to this one as an M3, like that. And now I can bring up my perlin noise, and if I bring up the smoothness, you can see it goes into the classic perlin distortion. So now instead of V, I'm going to take length of V, and so there it is, just sort of this circular pattern with no distortion. And then as I bring up each of them, I could add sine. I'm going to decrease the frequency of that a little bit, like that. There's my sine distortion. I could have just a noise, and I'm going to bring up the frequency of that. So there's my noise. Or I could add perlin noise, and I'll bring up this like that. And then of course you could add the color scale to these and choose a different color effect. Yeah, and so whatever shape I have in there is going to get distorted by, when you distort the coordinates, it's going to stretch that shape out. That's all I wanted to show today, so let me know if you have any comments or questions, and thanks for watching.